How long had I been asleep? Who got us? Blink, blink. Where am I? I slowly widened my eyes, seeing a wood panel ceiling overhead as my limbs stretched in the warm futon. Then, when I laid upright from the futon, I noticed another body in the duvet beside me. Oh no, snoring. SUSUMU. Yamazaki?
Oh! Yukimura! You're awake! What a relief.
Ever alert. Aww. Are you the one who's been taking care of me while I was unconscious? Oh. That's weird. So, I guess she passed out and then he woke up and then carried her off? Interesting.
Of course I had. You were really knocked out, so I was beginning to worry that perhaps you had gone into cardiac arrest.
Oh. I heaved a heavy sigh in relief, attempting to piece together my memories of when I was last awake. A lot happened. Ah, yes, I remember now. We planned a rescue mission to Itabashi, an imperial hotbed, in order to save Kondo. Ah, don't, my heart. Don't start me off with that. What happened to Kondo and Okita? Are they okay?
Oh.
Matsumoto? The doctor? Huh.
I believe I am better suited to explain the aftermath of the night's events back to you.
Dr. Matsumoto? What are you doing here?
Well, Dr. Matsumoto actually saved our lives. Somehow he miraculously discovered our unconscious bodies and took us into his clinic.
Oh, okay. So, by himself, he got both of us out of there? And you recovered faster than me, because raisins. Okay. Well, hello, Dr. Matsumoto. It's been a while.
My finding you was an immense stroke of fortune, as I happened to be traveling to Aizu to serve as a medical advisor for the shogunate army.
A description for the last remaining shogunate loyalists who employed Western artillery and tactics in the losing fight against the Imperial Army.
While en route, I had passed Itabashi Inn when I heard bodies collapse somewhere in the forest. I sprinted over as quickly as I could. When I realized whom it was, I nearly had a heart attack.
Ah, I see. I cannot begin to thank you enough. It could almost be considered divine intervention that it was Dr. Matsumoto, of all people, who'd found us. I lowered my head to bow at him once more, only for Dr. Matsumoto to scratch his head dejectedly.
In any case, Yamazaki filled me into the sordid details. What a bind you've all found yourselves in.
Yes, we stayed behind from the main troops' vanguard to keep watch over Edo, but then we got word of Kondo's capture.
I hate to be the one to break the news, but unfortunately, neither Kondo nor Okita survived.
Oh. I have two questions. Did Soji kill my dad? Or was he able to see Kondo one last time? I knew he wasn't going to live. And he went out fighting like a champ, at least in this version of events. But, man, that sucks. I see. Silence filled the room after Dr. Matsumoto spoke. Although I expected as much, nothing could stop my heart from feeling like it shattered into 1,000 pieces. Soon my eyes were puffy with a stream of tears.
My deepest condolences. Sadly, Kondo was a foregone conclusion, but I take the sole blame for the death of Okita. I hadn't been convinced that he was capable of making it there, let alone carry his sword. No, you cannot bear the responsibility of his actions, Dr. Matsumoto. It is my belief that Okita chose to die on his own terms. Rather than waste away in a bed, he chose to live his final moments as a warrior, putting his conviction and loyalty for Kondo and his friends behind his sword. That's just the kind of man he was, and no one else could better fit the title of the Shinsengumi's captain of the 1st Division.
Here, here. I'll drink to that.
I see. You warriors are all the same.
Dr. Matsumoto shook his head in frustration, rubbing his temples with his fingers before looking at me.
Yukimura, how does your body feel? When I found you, you were pale and haggard.
I'm fine, thank you. Forget about me. How are Yamazaki's wounds?
Well, I was able to treat him immediately, but it had also been brought to my attention that he is a fury. Judging by the fact that his regenerative powers hadn't kicked in, I assumed Kodo exploited some weakness. Logic would dictate his weapons were coated in some kind of poisonous substance. Whatever the case, it has exposed that furies are not invincible.
Wait, does that mean Yamazaki's scars are permanent?
Luckily, the wounds have clotted and the bleeding stopped. It only means that the gashes will take an ordinary amount of time to heal naturally.
Interesting. Also, you seem very chill with the fact that your former friend and colleague is an evil, psychotic demon that is trying to take over the world. Oh, what a relief.
However, these wounds are quite serious. I highly recommend that he doesn't aggravate his wounds. Apologies, Dr. Matsumoto, but the luxury of time is something we cannot afford. Until we are able to thwart Kodo's plans, there is still so much for us to do, places for us to go. If need be, I volunteer to tackle this endeavor alone. It pains me to think that you suffer the same delusion that killed your friend only days ago.
Dr. Matsumoto's face wrinkled with frustration in response to Yamazaki's insistent attitude.
Well, I suppose I cannot fault you for fighting fire with fire. Do as you please. I can only ask, have you stopped to consider the consequences? Do you know what happens when furies reach their body's point of overexertion? Yes, but I've already died once before. At this point, I no longer fear death.
Hearing Yamazaki shed any concern for himself or his future felt like a knife digging underneath my skin. All of a sudden, my chest tightened in pain, and I did my best to keep my feelings hidden. Meanwhile, Dr. Matsumoto shot Yamazaki a look of scrutiny.
Normally, I would not dare think of saying this to someone in your condition, but as you say, time is not a luxury we can afford, and neither is decorum. Fury powers are a gift, not a curse. You are merely delaying the inevitable by continuing to rely upon them. The same could be said about medicine. Treating a patient means delaying the natural course of action. The water of life is no different, as it gives people an opportunity to live their life. No, you are incorrect.
Dr. Matsumoto swiftly denied Yamazaki's claim. He kept his composure, taking a deep breath before dismantling Yamazaki's argument.
Medicine is used to restore and maintain the body's vitality. Ultimately, our aim is to ensure the health of our patients' bodies and minds for their life's entirety. Can the same be said for the water of life, however? It does the opposite. It reduces the body and mind to ash. Every day spent in its caustic tendrils costs a day, week, or even months from your life. It will destroy you, and for as long as you suffer its affliction, it will eat away your body and mind.
Another heavy sigh came from Dr. Matsumoto's mouth as he stepped away from us, placing his hand on the room's exit door handle.
Lest you forget, Yamazaki, using your fury powers will grant you an advantage in any battle, but you may not live long enough to see the war to its end. Many will mourn your death, should it happen. You mean more to us than you realize.
Thank you, Doctor, for saying so. Eat away your body and mind. I repeated Dr. Matsumoto's words, letting them sink in as I bowed in front of him as he exited the room. If the risk of using the Fury powers were as costly as Dr. Matsumoto had suggested, it made Father's plot all the more nefarious, as no one should be made to suffer such a horrific condition. I had to steady my anxious hands.
So, what is next for us?
For starters, my father revealed some important information about where the Furies are headed. I guess that means we've completed the mission given to us by the Shinsengumi. They're in Aizu. We're right here. I don't know what to do. Like, yes, we've completed our mission, by all accounts, so we could go report in. But at the same time, time is of the essence, and it's going to take quite a while for the two of them in their current condition to travel to Aizu, report into the Shinsengumi. And the Shinsengumi's not, at this point, is not at any point to send anybody back here to deal with the problem. I'm gonna risk... I'll see. I know Yamazaki's very duty-bound, so he might not like this, but he might be like, yeah, you're right. We have to deal with this now. Okay. Because he said, I'll deal with this alone if I have to. But I'm not sure if we should tell them everything that we saw.
Explain yourself.
Well, it's just like what you told Kazuma and Amagiri. If our goal is ensuring the survival of the Shinsengumi, who are off fighting their own war, we can't burden them with a task of this magnitude. Yeah. Okay, good. We're on the same page. If you agree with me, Yamazaki, then I believe this is best left for you and me to handle. We can't allow the Shinsengumi to spread itself too thin, so it's best if we keep this news to ourselves.
Yes, you make a compelling argument. Not just because Kazuma and Amagiri said so either. This is our path, one that only the two of us can go. We will stop at nothing to halt Kodo Yukimura's plans. The Shinsengumi will suffer no more pain.
Let's do it! Alright, you two. I believe in you. Soji probably destroyed about 3/4 of their forces, too, so that's a big help. Thank you, Soji. Dang, poor boy had to die. That was amazing last time, though. Ugh, I loved that so much. Fire! Great. Good thing to see when you're starting a new chapter. Alright, let's take a look at... Aoi in full bloom! And chapter 4 means smooches, so let's see when that happens. The Battle of Toba Fushimi. The Battle at Koshu Katsunuma. The Shinsengumi's vanguard had departed Edo, battling in Utsunomiya during their arduous trek to Aizu. The fate of Utsunomiya Castle dangled by a thin thread. As the Imperial Army fought to strip the Shinsengumi of their dignity, murdering their soldiers and executing their chief in cold blood, the Shinsengumi persevered, pushing further into Aizu without letting their hopeful light extinguish. It was quite literally do or die, and the Shinsengumi, refusing to whimper like a wounded animal, was edging closer to the second option. If it were at all possible, Yamazaki and I would have given anything to join them in this momentous battle. Until we drew our dying breaths, the pair of us would have been there, side by side, as the majestic flag of Makoto waved overhead. However, there was a battle of our own, some unfinished business that pulled us away from our friends. It was a battle for retribution. Hopefully, Father would learn to atone for his dastardly sins. Although history would likely contain no record of this battle, it had an impact on thousands of lives, enough to steer our country's path from total chaos. Nice, nice, nice. A few days had passed since, along with Dr. Matsumoto, we entered a secluded hiding place within a shogunate encampment. Summer kissed our skin with humid air, even all the way in the country's northeast, as we awaited news for which we had been growing anxious.
According to this scroll, the Shinsengumi's forces are moving to lay siege on Shirikawa Castle.
Shirikawa Castle? The same one that runs along the Osho Kaido, right? A highway that stems from Edo, passing Senju all the way to Shirikawa. When you go north of Shirikawa, it leads to Nihonmatsu, Fukushima, Sendai, Morioka, and Suguru. Okay. Do you think Hijikata is planning on using that road to funnel and flank the Imperial Army forces?
How astute of you. Yes, I believe that's his plan. If my assumptions are correct, however, there may be another reason to attack Shirikawa Castle.
There was a long wooden table, upon which Yamazaki stretched a hand-drawn map of the region, tracing the shape of Shirikawa Castle with his finger.
Rumors of strange happenings have swirled since the Imperial Army began occupying the castle. I find them quite troubling, honestly. There are several accounts of disappearances and murders occurring every night. Allegedly, the victims are being disemboweled.
Oh no! Could it be...
Yes, I'm sure of it. It must be the Imperial Army's very own Fury Corps.
Do you suspect Hijikata to know all of this? Do you think that's why they're heading to Shirikawa Castle? Both Yamazaki and I were no strangers to the mettle of the Shinsengumi. In fact, we admired it. Neither the amount nor the power of the Furies could deter Hijikata and his men from achieving victory. Still, a haunting thought lingered. If they faced the new heightened furies developed by Father, then massive casualties would be unavoidable. For the Shinsengumi, who were already operating with a less than ideal amount of men, this battle would come to define them and their future. The smolder of the Shinsengumi's embers in Kyoto had grown into a wildfire, burning and burning until everything in sight was engulfed in flames. Fate had a sense of cruel humor, it seemed, in that the Shinsengumi would fight its own darkest secret.
This cannot happen. The Shinsengumi, like all beautiful things, will have its day. It will wilt and will become the dirt beneath our feet. But this battle will not spell its end. That is why, as my vow to you and to the Shinsengumi, I will destroy our enemies.
You mean we will? I interjected Yamazaki's vow with a quip and a smile. My connection to him deepened as I watched his resolve gather strength throughout our time together. I was becoming swept by a peculiar feeling. It's as if the last chapter has arrived, and we must smooch. I'm aware of the fact that I can't serve beside you on the battlefield, but I'll be damned if you go alone. If fighting's what you want, then I'm staying with you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
But our adversary will be Koto Yukimura. This, I imagine, will not be easy for you.
I know Oh, sorry, I need to move and my chair squeaks like crazy, so ignore the squeaks and the cracks. I know I'm ready, or he is no longer my father. I mean... Nah, she's always, like, thinking, this was the man who raised me, and he was so kind and loving, and I wish there was a way to help him. He's still your father, but you're ready, girl. I know, but I'm ready for him. If everything he stated back in Itabashi was true, if he aims to sink this country into oblivion just to fulfill some selfish ideology, then I will personally see to it that Koto Yukimura is killed. As his daughter, this is my burden to bear.
Wow. I can't believe how strong you've become.
Dang, he was turned on by that vow. Yeah.
If your heart is as set as it seems, then I have nothing left to say. Let's go together, Yukimura.
Well, we'd better get moving. I think there's a lot for us to do before we hit the road. I exhaled a deep breath, preparing myself to stand as I noticed Yamazaki in the corner of my eyes. Don't you bloodlust on me already, man.
Oh.
His eyes were shifty, almost evasive, and he remained still despite my segue. Is something wrong? We need to move quickly, or the Shinsengumi will reach the castle before us.
Yes, I know, but before we go, there's a favor that I wanted to ask of you.
A favor? What is it? I don't want you to have any regrets or unfinished business before we embark on this journey.
Regrets. Regrets, you say? You're right. I'll probably regret it for the rest of my life if I don't say anything.
Oh, it's not bloodlust, it's confession time. I'm ready. He's psyching himself up for this. Amazing. I love it.
Okay.
Yamazaki began taking deep breaths as if to motivate himself, and he stared intently into my eyes. Conviction burned behind his timid eyes, and for a moment I expected him to challenge me to a duel. Not gonna lie, that would be amazing. Finally, he opened his mouth to speak. He chickened out. He's like, actually, I am having a bloodlust episode. Yes, that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. You chickened out. Calling you out, Yamazaki.
So... would you mind granting me another taste of blood?
Oh no, are you coming down with bloodlust? Yamazaki had been fidgeting nervously in his seat, and his breathing had been staggered, which piqued my interest. If that were the case, then I should... Oh, I'm tempted to make him endure it, but no. Later. I immediately unsheathed my Kadachi and braced myself for the blade's sting against my delicate hand. I knew it! Your hair would have turned white and your eyes red. Why was that the first thing that came to your mind? I love that it played the bloodlust music and then it just like abruptly stopped. Oh, this is one of my favorite scenes, I think, of the game. Oh, fantastic. In a fit of panic, Yamazaki reached out, stopping me from cutting my skin open.
No, not now. I am not experiencing any pain at this very second. But, just as you did now, whenever my condition reared its ugly head, you offered your blood to me, didn't you?
Does it seem weird to you? Drinking blood, I mean.
No. Well, it's just that... I remember Ito describing something to me that he read in the play, written by a Western playwright for whom he was quite fond. Supposedly, for Westerners, the act of kissing the back of one's hand is a gesture of loyalty.
Oh. Interesting. Go on. Loyalty? I was a bit perplexed as to what Yamazaki was saying.
Of course, I don't mean to suggest that I buy into all of the romantic nonsense that Ito enjoyed. But as of late, the thought has crossed my mind. I suppose what I'm saying is, I want something more than loyalty to come out of our, relationship. If I were to be more direct, I was hoping to, well, that spot on your face.
That spot, you know, where words come out. Oh, the most awkward way of asking, can I kiss you? Yes, I love it. I drew an invisible line between Yamazaki's eyes and what they were pointing towards, noticing they had fixed firmly on my lips. Without speaking, I touched them with my fingers. If my assumption were correct, carry the two, it would mean that Yamazaki wanted... Ooh. Is this what you want?
Yes.
By the time I understood the gist of what he'd been getting at, I couldn't help but feel my heart race.
But I acknowledge that this is an imposition entirely of my own design. If you prefer not to partake in this, then I won't force it upon you.
Wait, so you're fine with not doing it?
Well, no.
I watched as the hesitation left Yamazaki's body. He reacted like a child, refusing to let go of something precious as he drew me in closer to his body.
I won't let you go, even if you tell me to. The thought of being away from you is one I cannot bear to see.
There's no way I'd ever let that happen. His timid eyes glowed eagerly, and I bit into my lower lip roughly. Oh, are you giving blood through the smooches? Dang, she really bit through her lip hard enough to... Dang, girl! At first there was a dull pain, then the metallic tang of blood touched my tongue. It was raw, almost indelible, you could say. Oh my god, that is kinky, man. Damn! I think we actually may need to change Yamazaki's kink from back of the palm to the lips instead, because wowee. Wowee. She's into it too, man. Yamazaki puckered his mouth, and as our lips met, the faint taste of blood became more pronounced. To Furies, I imagined, this taste was akin to a saccharine nectar of the highest order. For Yamazaki, however, he seemed less interested in the tang of blood, and more in the passionate embrace of our supple lips. Yamazaki's tongue traced shapes around the cut on my lip, flicking at it gently. Oh, I love everything about this picture, man. It's gorgeous.
Tell me if it hurts.
If I said that it hurt, would you stop?
Why ask questions to which you know the answer?
I was becoming engrossed in the moment that I couldn't hear the sound of my own thoughts. My mind focused solely on the sensation of his tongue rapidly pressing against the cut to draw more blood in soft, sensuous movements. If my blood has the power to breathe life into you, then... Yamazaki, I offer my body to you.
Thank you, Chizuru.
Our kiss resumed, and I lost myself in the scent and warmth of Yamazaki's intimate closeness. Father? No. Kodo Yukimura and his fearsome army of savage furies awaited us in Shirikawa. I clasped a fragile wish in my heart, hoping to stop them before they crossed blades with the Shinsengumi.